Cedric Kushner production, in association with MNet Supersports, brings you a night of international championship boxing. Tonight, Rodolfo Blanco from Colombia will try to dethrone the current IBF featherweight champion Dave McAuley of Northern Ireland. And we're set in a beautiful sports palace here in Bilbao, Spain, as we get ready to see how this fight is going to come out tonight. Hi, everybody. Sam Smith along with Bob Spagnola as we get ready for this rematch. And Bob, these two fighters had an opportunity to fight in Belfast, with McAuley coming out with a very controversial decision that night. And you know Blanco would like to come here on Spanish soil and kind of dethrone the champion, but a lot of time the rematches don't always pan out the way that we hope they would.
Yeah, sometimes it can be anticlimactic, but somehow I don't think that'll be the case with this fight here tonight, Sam.
Blanco's a very proud fighter, comes in with a 25-6-1 record with 17 knockouts. He weighed in at 112 pounds, 50-7, if you will. As a matter of fact, that's exactly the same weight that McAuley also weighed in at 50-7, 112 pounds. Interesting enough, Bob, with McAuley coming out and fighting off of Great Britain soil for the very first time. Is that an effect on the champion here fighting in Bilbao, Spain tonight?
I think it definitely will be. I think more of an advantage for the challenger. There's two places you can go to fight in this business, Sam. There's home and there's away. And I think for David McAuley, for the first time in his entire career, he's going to be away.
Paddy Byrne carrying the blue peace flag that has preceded the legendary Barry McGuigan into many arena around the world, will come in and ahead of Dave McAuley. McAuley again at 5'7 3/4, brings an 18-2-2 record. And again, he is the current reigning IBF Flyweight champion, and he'll see what he can do as you see him bobbing behind his entourage right there. And a good look at Dave McAuley from behind. It'll be interesting to note before this fight is over the different styles of these two fighters. And there's one thing about it, you don't have to look for McAuley. He'll be right in front of you all night long.
Both fighters, not only have they fought each other before, Sam, but their styles, it's two guys right there in front of you. McAuley's used to being the boss, and Blanco, he's a rhythm fighter. He's going to be right in McAuley's face, and really, like I said before, I don't think this will be one of those rematches that's anticlimactic.
Well, he's held this IBF championship since June of 1989, defeating Duke McKenzie, and that was in a 12-round decision at Wembley Stadium in London. He's had 5 title defenses, but he has a real tough one tonight against Rodolfo Blanco. Has a good look at McAuley as he's in the ring here in Bilbao, Spain. 30 years of age. There's a little controversy on how old Blanco really is. Many say that he's 26. Some others say he's 32. Whatever he is, he'll have to have a big night tonight to come up against McAuley. The introductions will all be in Spanish, as we are here in Spain, the northeast corner of the great country of Spain, about 200 kilometers, as a matter of fact, from the country of France. And it is interesting to note that McAuley would even accept a fight here on Spanish territory, particularly when you're fighting a guy from Colombia, which obviously Spanish is their predominant language, and you got a feeling that Blanco may have a very good following as he comes in here to Spain tonight.
Yeah, I really think with this being a purse bid that led to this fight being held here, Sam, that's the ultimate way when two camps can't get together on a fight. It goes to the sanctioning body, and it's open for bids, and the highest bid wins. And in this case, it was won by the promoters in Spain. They wanted to do the fight here. So really, Eastwood's, the people that have McAuley really had no choice as to where the fight would go.
Rodolfo Blanco hails from right in the Cartagena area, fights out of Barranquilla. Actually comes from San Onofrio, Colombia, which, as a matter of fact, is very well known in producing some outstanding champions, and they hope they've got another one here tonight against McAuley. McAuley on the other side, Larney, North Ireland is his home, and again fighting out of the Great Britain area for the very first time. You can see that Irish green, and he wears it very proudly here in Spain tonight. He's been fighting since he was 8 years old, and of course culminated in a world title, which he will defend tonight here before this crowd in Bilbao, Spain. And the champion is introduced to this crowd, and they'll be fighting for the hardware as you see it right there. Benedetta Montella is the supervisor from the IBF, and of course we'll announce the judges here that'll be very instrumental in determining this fight if indeed we do go the distance. And I guess it's Steve Smoger from the United States will be the referee in charge.
Okay, touch gloves. God bless. Touch them up.
And both fighters are encouraged to, of course, have some good sportsmanship here in Spain. We made mention, a lot of conversation going on if this fight would go the distance. Obviously, the last one did. A very controversial decision over in Belfast. Matter of fact, we even heard that some of the rounds were not quite 3-minute rounds, and some other controversy, a lot of things happening after the fight was all over. But again, no one really picking this one to go down short, Bob. I think everybody's pretty much looking at it to possibly go as long as these fighters can stand up.
It's really hard to predict, Sam, with five knockdowns occurring between the two fighters in their first confrontation. You never know when one of the guys is really going to stay on the deck.
Round one, the IBF Flyweight Championship. Again, on the right in the green is Dave McAuley. He is the reigning champion. And Rodolfo Blanco, again, is the young man that is trying to steal that title away from the champion here tonight. And one thing that Bob pointed out, again, you see the style. McAuley would like to try to get right in your face as much as he possibly can. Good angles and good rhythm fighter. You made mention that Blanco's very rhythm, and you'll see that before the night is all over here. Once he gets in that rhythm, he's a tough customer to handle, though.
Yeah, that's what Davey doesn't want to give him the opportunity to do, and he wants to set the pace. He wants to make it his fight, set the pace, and control the pace.
Good lead left hook that time thrown by Blanco, but countered with a left hook of his own by McAuley.
I don't think there'll be a lot of feeling out process in this fight, Sam. They've already been in there with each other.
Took them a long time to get this rematch going, though. There's lots of controversy on, obviously, the site was one of the things that had to be determined. No longer did the Blanco crowd wanted to go back into Belfast. McAuley would have loved to have it back in Belfast again, but that was not the case. But it took a while to get this rematch together again.
Yes, it did. It was one of the outstanding time-wise mandatories that the IBF had to fill, and it came right down to the wire. You know, there was no chance of these two parties doing business with each other after last time, so it went to a purse bid, and the Spanish promoter won, and here we are.
You see McAuley with that lunging style of his, and Blanco, defensive-wise, you'll see him good angles moving left to right. Once McAuley makes that charge, you saw Blanco duck underneath with that left jab to the rib cage of McAuley.
Yeah, McAuley likes that left hook downstairs after the 1-2 combination that he works.
Bob, you made mention McAuley down 4 times in that first fight, and yet came on and win that one. That was tough.
Yeah, it was an incredible fight, but you think, you know, one guy being on the deck 4 times, how could he lose? But he also had his opponent on the deck, and he pressed the fight, and he was the champion. It wasn't a ridiculous decision, although obviously from Blanco's people's point of view, you drop a guy 4 times in his own hometown, you're supposed to win the fight.
You see the good hand speed of both of these fighters, the flyweights.
McAuley's a very mechanical fighter, they say, but at the same time, if he's getting the job done, his mechanics can't be bad.
One thing you can certainly tell about McAuley is that European style, very straight, stand-up-ish. Blanco ducking in, using angles, trying to get to the body in round 1. And indeed, we did have a bit of a feeling-out process here, Bob Spagnola, but nonetheless, both fighters landing and showing us exactly what they felt they wanted to do, and it looked as if Blanco was going to try to concentrate on doing some body shots. And, of course, McAuley with a stand-up style doing a little headhunting as you take a good look at Davey McAuley, 30 years age, 50 and 70 weight in. That's exactly at 112 pounds, and Blanco exactly the same weight across the ring.
Absolutely, the point you made about the body work is important. You can see that McAuley keeps his hands high at all times, and that body work early in the fight is what will bring those hands down and leave the opportunity for Blanco.
Now, with Blanco doing as he does, he dips here. Is that tough for McAuley to get down and get some body work, a la what Blanco's doing right now?
Well, it is tough when he's in a crouch like that, but what Davey does is he concentrates on a good jab 2-3 times, and then the right hand behind it, and that's when he bends down and tries to land that good left hook downstairs.
So round 2 is underway here. The IBF Flyweight Championship, the champion in the green, Dave McAuley, and the challenger, Rodolfo Blanco. Blanco again from Colombia, and McAuley from Northern Ireland. First round, rather even, and as a matter of fact, as you score the fight tonight, I notice a couple of 10s on your card there, Bob Spagnola.
Yeah, I don't think anyone took control of the first round. They're both setting things up, and they've got a lot of respect for each other here, and I think that's had something to do with I don't really call it a feeling out round, but some mutual respect.
Good digging blows there by McAuley again. By the way, Bob Spagnola, the manager for Orlando Canizales. Pound for pound, probably one of the finest fighters you'll find anywhere, a world champion. As you see Blanco going to work, Frank Tate, another light heavyweight contender for a title. Todd Foster, just many of the fighters managed by my compadre Bob Spagnola. And Blanco's going right to work here on the champion.
Yeah, he started with a good left hook lead, and he's followed it up, and you can see that the crowd here is really getting behind Blanco as he pressures the champion.
Blanco again at 32, turned pro in 1982 at the age of 16. Digging shots by McAuley as he's kind of turned the tables on him. Good job by Steve Smoger, kind of letting him fight out of the clinches. Neither fighter really getting advantage of the clinch, so he let him fight.
Good clean shots landed by both fighters. You know, the point you made about their age earlier, Sam, it's interesting for little fighters like this, flyweights, really these guys are way past what's usually considered a small fighter's prime. We've got a lot of older fighters coming back in the heavyweight divisions, but you don't see too many 30-year-olds at this level of competition in the flyweight division.
Good competition in round number 2, so both fighters apparently have taken the advice of their corner people and have changed a great deal. Blanco in particular, who really has become very aggressive here in round 2.
McAuley's also working nice downstairs with both hands, not just with the left hook.
He does indeed start to look as if he wants to do the body work that he did not do in round number 1. Is McAuley comfortable, though, countering here? He is a guy that really likes to try to get off first here a lot, Bob.
He doesn't want to be fighting this fight with his back to the ropes. He wants to be in the middle of the ring, working off a jab. And you can see with his back to the ropes right where he is isn't really the position that he wants to be in.
McAuley, a very successful amateur career in 79 and 80. The Irish light flyweight champion. Took a couple of years off after he lost in 1981 in an amateur fight for that same title. Turning pro in 1983. And a bell sounds, and you see these two fighters are not wanting to just fight 3. They'd like to go about 3.5 at least, or at least 3 minutes and 5 seconds. And Steve Smoger alertly right in between them as round 2 has become a very effective round. As a matter of fact, for Blanco, as he came out very aggressively, but McAuley trying to steal a little bit at the end of round number 2.
Yeah, I scored the round for the challenger, although it was a very close round. He landed some good clean shots early, but the champion came back strong, and he's letting him know that this won't be an easy night for him.
Good look at both fighters as they are on their stools here. Bilbao, Spain. Sports Palace. McAuley starting to dig some body shots. You saw Blanco again using that left hook to the body. Good left hook to the head that time.
Yeah, that was the clean hook that he hurt him with, and tried to follow it up here early in the round.
Blanco looks like he can be a little nasty in the clinches there, throwing some good punches inside.
Their first fight was marred by a couple of fouls that I saw on the tape, and you know, both of them are veteran fighters, and they're going to return the favor in kind if they feel like somebody's trying to take advantage of them.
Bob Spagnola, the master of the understatement. There were a few fouls, to say the least, in that first fight. And again, the rematch here tonight as they revisit and look at each other for still another time. McAuley in the green, the champion, and Blanco in the white, the challenger. Round 3, scheduled for 12 of the world title fight. Blanco again on the unofficial scorecards, getting round number 2 after an even first round.
Now this is really where Davey wants the fight fought, in the middle of the ring, not with his back to the ropes, working that jab and looking for the right hand afterwards.
I had mentioned McAuley turned pro in 1983 after a couple of years off between his amateur career and the pros. In only his second fight, he came out and got after a draw to open up his career, he got a first-round knockout of Dave Smith, the former British champion, and that kind of bolted him into the limelight, certainly in Europe, and ever since that time, he's had key fight after key fight, and eventually winning the title in 1989 in June with that win over McKenzie, as we mentioned, in London.
who went on to win the bantamweight championship of the world in the WBO. Duke McKenzie's a good fighter, and Davey McAuley's beaten good fighters to get where he is.
Blanco seems to have backed off a bit here in round 3, Bob, by choice, or is McAuley doing something that won't allow him to come in?
Well, he's in the middle of the ring, which is the point that I made earlier. That's where he wants to fight this fight. That's his fight. Working the jab in the middle of the ring, and there he digs a left hook to the body. He's looking much better in this round, McAuley is.
Left hooks by both fighters very effective to the body so far in the early 3 rounds. You know, McAuley is very fortunate and very happy to be here. A brain scan, as a matter of fact, showed some irregularities. And it looked like his career not only would be sidelined because of health, but also the challenge that he would face from people like Blanco. But he got a clean bill of health, not only in Ireland, but certainly by the entire boxing community around Great Britain, and thus an opportunity to continue his career. But then a sliver of metal coming off of a sports ball went into his eye, and that looked like it might jeopardize his opportunity to fight even more. So he's not only overcome opponents, but also some health problems to be here tonight.
Yeah, he's a tough kid and not one to let a little adversity get in his way.
McAuley seems to be very active in round 3. Blanco trying to steal it back, becoming the man with the lead punches now. So as the bell ends round 3, Steve Smoger, the referee, again has to be very active here, Bob. At the end of each round, both these fighters continue to try to go at each other. And that shows you the no love lost between these two camps after that match in Belfast back in 1990. Is a good look at the challenger, Blanco.
Yeah, they're not going to let the other one land the last blow before the bell, even if it does run over a little bit. Trying to leave an impression for the next round.
This is just about the fight that we expected with the ebbs and flows. McAuley again being the top heavy in the first round, even though it was even round. Again, the challenger Blanco coming on in the second, then coming back and swinging back the other way with McAuley in the third. And as you look at both these fighters on their stool, and again the replay of some of the action from the third round, scheduled for 12, the IBF Flyweight Championship here from Bilbao, Spain.
It's a test of wills here. That's what it is. Each guy's trying to put his will on the other one.
Sam Smith, along with Bob Spagnola on International Championship Boxing, Cedric Kushner production in association with MNet Supersports, is bringing you the IBF Flyweight Championship. Dave McAuley in the green on the left against the challenger, Rodolfo Blanco.
McAuley again starts the round, landing some nice jabs, Sam.
Blanco, you made mention, is he starting to feel, are you starting to see that rhythm that you thought you might see here, Bob, with him?
No, I really haven't. In the first round, he seemed to be in his rhythm, but I think he's out of it right now. And as I mentioned to you earlier, he likes the left hook. He flows right in throwing the left hook, but really he's kind of on the outside. His range isn't right. He's not close enough to even land a punch to McAuley, and McAuley's on the end of that jab just pecking away.
McAuley finding out that Blanco, very elusive target, even though the jab is being measured well. You see how well Blanco just bobs and weaves and slips punches very nicely.
But Davey would much rather have Blanco have to come to him and initiate the action, as opposed to him having to chase Blanco around and leave Blanco the opportunity to counterpunch.
Yeah, another key fight. We mentioned that McAuley, of course, coming on with that second fight with the first round knockout over the former British champion Dave Smith. On the McGuigan-Pedroza undercard, he was down in the first and the fifth round, received a broken hand in the fight against Barry McDermott, but came on and knocked him out in the 10th round, and that was another one of those feathers in the cap for Northern Ireland's Davey McAuley in the green, as Blanco again presses the issue here in round 4.
McAuley fights off the ropes nicely, but as the fight that you were mentioning, throughout Davey's career, he's had tough fight after tough fight, and these fights have a cumulative effect on a fighter over a period of time.
Seems like you find that out, particularly in Ireland and Great Britain in particular. Anytime you start getting these guys matched up, you see them over and over and over again, battling each other right tooth and nail to the bitter end. Just as McDermott and McAuley did so back in 1985. Seemed like a long time ago, but again, very vivid in the memory of many boxing fans in Europe.
action's picked up quite a bit here. Blanco knows he's got to get by that jab, and that's what he's trying to do. McAuley's trying to stick to his game plan here, working behind that jab and keeping the Colombian off of him.
You hear the referee Steve Smoger talking to the fighters, letting them fight out of the clinches. These are flyweights, 112 pounds, 50 and 7.
Good hooks to the body by the champion.
Let him out, Davey. Come out, protect him. Let him out.
McAuley's had some trouble with some cuts in the past. We see some nicks and bumps and bruises starting to emerge right now from Blanco as round 4 comes to an end. That'll be very interesting to see if indeed Blanco can get to him and open up any kind of cuts here tonight against the champion McAuley, as both fighters have gone through the 4th round, and you already see him working on that right eye now of Dave McAuley.
Yeah, they'll be working on that all night. But the point here, McAuley, he's boxing well on the outside, and then when Blanco works his way in, Davey's been tying him up, which he didn't do much of in the first fight. He let him fight on the inside, and I think that's very wise. I think they've done their homework here. He's not going to let Blanco work him over on the inside. He's going to tie him up, have the referee break him, and go back to business.
You saw that McAuley apparently is getting a left hand in as well on Blanco as they were working with some ice packs on the right side of the face of the challenger, and there was a good straight left hand that McAuley slipped in.
He fought well off the ropes here.
He did indeed. How about round 4? How'd you score that one, Bob Spagnola?
I've got the champion winning the round. He's boxing nicely behind the jab. Blanco's got to make something happen here. He's got to take this title. Now, it looks like he's going to try to pressure the champion here, but that's what he's got to do. He can't expect to win this fight unless he pressures the champion and takes the title away from him. That's what it's all about.
Unofficial card, 2 for McAuley, 1 so far for Blanco. In the first round, we scored even here. Of course, our scoring is strictly unofficial here at ringside. The 3 judges will officially score the fight if indeed it goes the distance. And just about all of the boxing experts expect it to do so, despite all of the knockdowns in that historic fight in 1990 in Belfast.
This is the kind of a pace for the champion. This is what he wants in this fight here. He wants to box on the outside and not have it be a furious pace. Blanco's got to pick things up here. He's got to try to make something happen. The champion's comfortable right where he is right now, and should be right in the middle of the ring, Sam, like we said.
McAuley won the British Fly Championship in 1986 in October, a 9th round TKO of Joe Kelly. He actually had another shot at a world title, the WBA title, in '87 of April. He was TKO in the 13th round by Fidel Bassa. And then, of course, win the IBF, and you see that hand speed of the champion getting in on the challenger.
Excellent combination. And the Bassa fight was another vicious ebb and flow battle that McAuley was involved in. He eventually succumbed to another Colombian, Fidel Bassa.
Blanco has taken the wake-up call here. A good hand combination by McAuley.
And his eyes swelling there from the left hand landed by Blanco.
Rodolfo again, some interesting notes on his age. Is he 26? Is he 32? Again, the most numerous notes we've seen is that he's 32 years of age, born in 1960. And, of course, McAuley at 30 years of age. But as Bob pointed out earlier, as both fights are warned now for a culmination of possible fouls, holding and also hitting below the belt.
McAuley's holding on the inside, and Blanco's hitting low on the inside, and Steve Smoger's taking command of the fight. And the pace is picking up here.
So mark this down on your scorecard. The 5th round seems to be the active round, a wake-up call combination from the champion McAuley. And Blanco apparently taking the wake-up call and trying to regain the edge here.
Davey paid him back with a little south of the border shot there, Sam.
And you heard Steve Smoger say keep it up. As far as the punch, keep the punch high.
Blanco continues to fight on the inside, whereas Davies holds, waits for the good left hook, landed cleanly by the challenger there.
Is Blanco lunging a little bit as the bell sounds to end round 5? He appeared that he was anyway.
He kind of, that's the way he is. He flows in there, lunging. He probably like to think it was flowing, but it might look like lunging.
Barranquilla, Colombia. That's on, of course, the northern coast of Colombia, just to the east of Cartagena, probably one of the most beautiful cities you'll find in the world. And across the way, Liney, North Ireland is the hometown and where he was born for Dave McAuley. Fights out of Belfast. And is one of the great champions coming out of Great Britain. Very popular fighter, and again, really surprising that he is elected to fight for his title here in Spain. You see some of the action there in round 5. Good hand speed. That was that combination that McAuley got in. You saw very clean punches on both the left and the right. Bell sounds, and here we come to round number 6, scheduled for 12, the IBF Flyweight Championship. The champion Dave McAuley against the challenger Rodolfo Blanco. Blanco in the white.
McAuley's taking charge of this fight behind the jab, and he's fighting the kind of fight he wants. He's in the middle of the ring. He's boxing, and just when Blanco seems to initiate a tough exchange and start fighting on the inside, he grabs him, he holds him, referee breaks him, and he goes back to being the governor, as they say. Unofficial card, another round on the side of the champion McAuley. 3-1-1 if you're scoring by the rounds, and of course the numbers starting to mount up a bit on a 10-point must system here. 3 judges scoring. 3 knockdown rule is in effect. If a fighter's down 3 times in a round, he is out. No standing 8 count. Referee is the only man that can stop the fight. He can be encouraged by the ringside doctors, though, but he is the only man that says the fight is over. Blanco warned again for that low blow. He's trying to work the body on McAuley, but going a little south. What's the mental approach when a fighter is warned? And again, that nearly the second time that he's been done so. You see him warring in the corners. Apparently no ill effect right now psychologically on Blanco. And look at McAuley turn him into the ropes. But it is heating up here. The psychological effect is, you know, when you're a fighter and you start getting warned for low blows, you land as many as you can, and when the ref seems serious about he's going to take away a point, that's when you stop. But you get away with as much as you can. You saw a slip, and Steve Smoger coming in quickly to rub the gloves and acknowledge a slip, not a knockdown. McAuley catching Blanco off balance on the ropes. Oh, this 6th round, we thought round number 4s and 5 had some exciting action. We'll look at it now. Oh, McAuley's letting Blanco know, don't you come walking in here on me. He got a sneaky in it. He just slips a couple of punches and another good right hand. You don't want to walk straight in on the guy. You got to show him a different angle, because he is a powerful right hand puncher behind that jab, and if you let him set himself and land that right hand, he's going to give you a lot of trouble. McAuley 18-2-2, a record overall. Oh, big right hand by Blanco. That's the kind of punch he needs to turn this fight around. And McAuley visibly shaken as he rests on the ropes trying to just defend himself, and now starts to tangle up and hold. Blanco has definitely hurt him here in this 6th round. This is where Blanco needs to press the fight. He needs to take advantage of this situation. McAuley fighting bravely off the ropes. You see Blanco boring in with that head as he ducks his way in there as well. McAuley has to watch out for that. But Blanco has scored with some big punches. A big right hand, and there's the bell, and they continue to fight after the bell at the end of 6. A big round by the challenger, Rodolfo Blanco, and you know this man, Dave McAuley, and his handlers across the way are saying, whoa, wait a minute. This guy has finally come with a big punch he's trying to land all night long, and indeed that right was there. Oh, that right hand's the kind of shot that cleanly dropped David McAuley the first time that they fought, Sam. And they're using a lot of water on the challenger over there. I think he's a little upset that that right hand didn't roll the champion over, because it was a picture-perfect shot. You start to see a little bit more swelling under the eye of McAuley in his corner. This is the action on the ropes now with McAuley throwing the left. There's the right hand over the top. That wasn't the big shot, though. Right there it was, yes. It's one of those Sports Illustrated shots when a punch is landed, the head kicks back and the sweat goes flying. And the bell sounds as we head for the 7th round, and clearly Blanco has gotten himself back into the fight after McAuley looked like he might have been cruising there in the early rounds. And his adrenaline definitely is flowing. Although he landed the biggest punch of the fight by far, I scored that round even, Sam, because I had McAuley winning the round, and I didn't think it was, if he'd gone down, he certainly would have lost it, but since he didn't, I didn't think it was fair to penalize him. I called the round even, but that's the kind of punch that Blanco's got to land. He's got to put pressure on this guy.
McAuley clearly had won the early minute 15 of that 6th round. And now in the 7th. We have kind of chronicled the career of Dave McAuley as he's acquired the championship. On the other side, turning pro at the age of 16 back in 1982. Blanco, as you see him working on McAuley again. He's had an up-and-down career, even though he's 25-6-1 with 17 knockouts. Big fight came against Elvis Alvarez, who later went on to become the WBA Flyweight champion in March of '85. Kind of really vaulted him into the limelight at his native country of Colombia.
Blanco definitely landing the harder punches here, and he's making Davey miss, it seems, a little bit. That was a good combination by the champion.
Well, I tell you, there's one thing about it. McAuley just kind of waits for some good opportunities and just kind of wades right in. Used the ropes to his advantage because he's countered reasonably well tonight. Blanco again catches him. Pretty good left hook that time.
McAuley was complaining about the low blows, but Smoger told him, hey, let go of his head, and he won't hit you low. It's a furious exchange here.
Big left hands by both fighters. Blanco, the challenger, on top of the champion McAuley.
McAuley fighting bravely off the ropes and landing his fair share of shots, but this isn't where he wants to be, Sam.
He has been there all night long, Bobby.
Another low blows by the challenger.
You hear Steve Smoger. That's actually about the 3rd warning he's given Blanco tonight. He's also going on the other side to McAuley, saying you got to stop holding behind the head.
Steve's taking control of this fight. He's an excellent official. Double S, Steve Smoger.
McAuley again with those ropes on his back. Tries to spin Blanco on the ropes, but fails to land any punches with it. This is round 7 of a scheduled 12-rounder as Blanco continues to dig to the body.
He's working that body with the left hook and coming back with the right hand.
Tell you what, that lead left up the middle is scoring well with Blanco as well. And there's the bell as the fighters are separated again at the end of the 7th round, and the champion going to his corner. It doesn't seem to be any worse than it was the last time we looked in, so no problems there. And Blanco across the way he may be an Olympic swimmer before this is all over, as much water as they're using in that corner.
You usually don't like to use a lot of water and ice on a guy early in a fight, but we're right into the heat of battle right here, and they don't want to save it till the end.
By the way, American Malcolm Garrett working in the corner of the challenger Blanco. One of the many folks working that way. Of course, Malcolm very closely associated with our promoter and international promoter, Cedric Kushner, who, along with Mnet Supersports, is bringing you a night of international championship boxing again. And this was that exchange off the rope. Both fighters getting good punches in that 7th round. And speaking of the 7th round, let's go into our scoring guru, Bob Spagnola. How about the 7th, Bob?
I gave Blanco the round. McAuley fought bravely off the ropes, but as I said, those aren't the kind of exchanges he wants to find himself in this fight. He wants to be right where he is right now, in the middle of the ring, boxing this guy behind a nice left jab, right hand. That's where he is right now.
So as round 8 gets underway of the scheduled 12-round title fight tonight, Bilbao, Spain, the Sports Palace, the site of boxing action tonight. Good straight right hand by McAuley.
Blanco's almost like a sleeping tiger. You know, you don't want to, you wake him up with a right hand like that, and then he jumps on you.
Bob, was the right hand thrown by Blanco in the last round, was it enough that he let McAuley off the hook, or is McAuley unstunned by that punch?
Well, I think he's recovered well. He's in fantastic condition here, but as you see now, after a minute into the round, he's finding himself on the ropes. Of course, he fights off, holds the guy, and has the referee break him. That's what he wants to do, but they're spending a lot of time in the corners at this point in the fight.
By the way, John Stewart along with Joe Garza are two of the officials from the United States. Aurelio Tejizo from Spain is the other judge. It'll be scoring this fight if indeed we go the distance. And right now in the 8th round, both fighters have been stunned. Neither fighter has been down yet. Keep in mind, McAuley down 4 times in their first fight. Blanco down once in that fight.
Nice left hook to the body by the champion there. Things are getting a little rough on the inside here. Steve Smoger's aware of it, but
big right hands by Blanco again as they're scoring.
Using his elbow on McAuley's head there, too.
You can hear some still pretty good force behind these flyweight punches in the 8th round.
McAuley was in there rumbling with him, and then he thought better of it and backed out and boxed, but here he finds himself in the corner.
Sam Smith along with Bob Spagnola as we watch International Championship Boxing, the IBF Flyweight Championship. Champion is McAuley in the green out of Northern Ireland. The challenger Rodolfo Blanco from Colombia. McAuley left hooking his way to advantage again here in this round. Straight left hand by the challenger. Blanco is scoring well.
It's a good round for the champion so far. He's trying to stay out there in the middle of the ring doing his thing, and when Blanco forces him into exchange, he tries to get back into the middle of the ring, boxing nicely behind the jab, good straight right hand. This is where the champion wants to be.
Bob, the champion, working a little more in the center of the ring, is the only diversion from the early game plans. Both fighters have stayed pretty much true to form what they came in with as the bell sounds. Steve Smoger, nice little dance there to separate him after the 8th round. Crowd seems to be appreciating this fight here in Spain. As across the way, the ice pack in the back of the neck, not working so much on the eye. They're pretty satisfied. That's no problem right now, Bob.
Yeah, they've done a good job. This is a really good fight. There's a lot of ebb and flow here.
Does either fighter become a little bit impatient in this situation, Bob? I know each one of them is landing with some good punches and feels like he's got as just much command as the other guy, but does one become a little more impatient than the other?
Well, I think, you know, being 3/4 of the way through the fight, the challenger's got to know that he's got to make something happen if he wants to win the champion. There we see him there trying to hit him with a right hand that misses, but he can't, you know, have Davey boxing behind the jab in the middle of the ring and expect to take the title from him. He's got to get in, you know, he's got to get in McAuley's behind here.
Speaking of ebbing and throwing, as we have throughout this fight, another round going to McAuley after he'd lost the previous round. So we start to even out even more so in this fight as we reach round number 9. McAuley with a big right hand at underneath left by Blanco, then he comes over the top. Blanco, by the way, has taken the punches up just a bit. He has been warned, and Steve Smoger says another blow below the belt would bring on a point deduction, and he can ill afford that in this very tight fight tonight.
No, he certainly can't. He needs a lot more pressure. McAuley boxing nicely behind the jab.
Resting round for Blanco, maybe?
Yeah. I don't think he's in a position that
can't afford that, huh?
Afford to rest. He's looking to land a big punch and turn this thing around is what he's doing. We better not wait too long.
McAuley just peppering away with the combinations. You may recall a big combination back in the 5th round. Really kind of turned it back into his favor again. Kind of gave a wake-up call to Blanco, though, as he came back strong after that. And now, as we pointed out, it's going back and forth, with neither fighter really getting that much advantage over the other from one round to the next.
They're taking real low there. Takes a point
there
away.
it is. That's a key moment here in this 9th round, as again Blanco is going to get 1 point deducted in this round 9. And again, that was the 4th time that Steve Smoger, he had warned him 3, and this time he gives him a point deduction.
And Blanco better be very aware he needs to go ahead and make something happen right here, because he can't stand a 10-8 round in this fight. It would almost take him right out of it. And sure enough, he's pressuring McAuley. He realizes he can't stand that. He knows he's lost 1 point. The best he can do right now is get an even round out of this.
Blanco apparently wearing one of those earpieces and speaks English, hearing Bob Spagnola, and here he comes to work. Boy, a big point deduction, though, here in the 9th round for Blanco for a low blow. And now he complains of being held behind the head and possibly a low shot by McAuley.
Turnabout being fair play here. But Davey's in a good position here. He's fighting off the ropes nicely, and I have him ahead in this round, even without the point being deducted. So Blanco really needs to make something happen here. He's going to dig a hole he's not going to be able to get out of.
First fight, very controversial, fought in Belfast, Northern Ireland, won by the champion, Dave McAuley. Now the rematch, almost 2 years later, here in Spain, and they move on to a very even fight as we're in the 9th round. But again, a point deduction for a low blow will be one that you'll have to put on your scorecard as maybe being a pivotal part of this fight. You can hear the crowd as they buzz about what is going on and how it will affect this man from Colombia. Again, still dousing him with water. Not a very hectic corner right now, so they, even despite the point deduction, feel comfortable there. Across the way, what looked like was going to be a real problem. They're working a little bit more on that right eye, just underneath. And across the way, Blanco looks virtually untouched here. This is action from round 9. There's that overhand right hand that McAuley scored with.
Yeah, I've got McAuley out ahead in this fight here, Sam, and that was a 10-8 round in his favor with the point being deducted. So Blanco's really dug himself a hole here.
And he's got an uphill battle. He's got 3 rounds if it goes to distance. This is round number 10 as we're underway. IBF Flyweight champion.
Good combination landed by the challenger to start this round.
Blanco is the challenger, McAuley the champion. Again, if you're just joining us, McAuley in the green on the left now. He had an up and down start to this fight, won 3 consecutive rounds on our unofficial card, and then back and forth they went. A key 1-point deduction for Blanco for a low blow in the 9th. And now Blanco, the challenger, desperately needs to make something happen if McAuley is going to lose his belt here tonight.
And that's just what Blanco's doing. He's landing a hard jab to the chest and body of McAuley, getting inside and roughing him up.
Does he have to put McAuley down in these last 3? Just will 3 10-9 rounds do it for him, Bob? It's looks like McAuley building up a pretty good lead there.
Yeah, McAuley's in charge right now. Blanco's got to make something happen. There's a good right hand, and Davey McAuley's eye is swelling up here, and here's Blanco pivoting around and landing those left hooks.
You know, I'm not so sure that much of that problem he has underneath the right eye has not been the clash of heads, even though it's been very unintentional, of course. But watch the way they are as they come at each other. Both are lungers. And watch his way the heads clash as they get right inside. Oh, good right hand by McAuley off the ropes.
Countering nicely off the ropes.
Oh, he has done a good job there tonight. He's had to. That's where he's been most of the night. Round number 10 of this title fight, and the challenger Blanco trying his best to accelerate. McAuley trying to do his best to counter and keep himself in the advantage seat. You see how he does that with the combinations. There's that hold. Now he's warned again.
Oh, good combination by the champion.
Oh, that was crisp, wasn't it?
He's still got plenty on, and here comes the challenger.
Oh, these guys are heating it up now. Blanco, if he's got one hand free, he's going to be hitting you with it, and he did there with the right hand.
Good body work by the champion.
Oh, those that score rounds, this is going to be a tough one, isn't it, Bob?
Ebb and flow. This is a heck of a confrontation here. Blanco's got to know that this fight isn't going his way. He's got to make something happen, and McAuley's, when he's boxing on the outside, he's boxing beautifully, and when they get in there, he's holding him.
There's that combination you see by McAuley. Barney Eastwood's stable, a very renowned boxing promoter and trainer around the world. As there you see again the continuation of the fighting to the bitter end as round number 10 comes to a close, and the champion setting rather comfortably right now, even though the challenger Blanco has not given up yet. And you see McAuley start to see a little bit of exhaustion starting to set in over there as well. These two fighters have had a long night already.
Yeah, it's been hard work for both men, but I'm sure they're not thinking about that too much right now.
Well, you see the good work. Boy, you talk about blue-collar work by McAuley, doing a job here. That was a nice combination.
Best left-right he's landed in the fight.
Maybe with the exception of the wake-up call he got early on Blanco that kind of gave him a wake-up call to get back in the fight. But indeed, that was a good one. So if it goes the distance, there's 6 minutes left to go in this fight, and this man Blanco from Colombia is being explained his options. He said, you've got to go right in on top of me. You must force the fight here in rounds 11 and 12. A point deduction for Blanco for a low blow after 3 warnings. That came in the 9th round finally when Steve Smoger, the referee, made the decision for the deduction. And you see the white trunks of Blanco powering in on McAuley in green.
Blanco's corner has got to have told him he's got to go out there and really put pressure on the champion here these last 2 rounds.
Let him out, Davey. Let him out.
That's got to be a very scary moment. You, of course, being a manager, watching a lot of the great trainers working. And when you say throw caution to the wind, you got to do everything. That's exactly when the worst can happen to you as well.
Absolutely. You're going to leave yourself at risk. There's Blanco. He's landing the left hook and pivoting off to the right, trying those double left hooks. That's his calling card, but he really hasn't been that successful. McAuley's taking it away from him by staying in the middle of the ring. Oh, you can hear those shots being landed inside there, Sam. McAuley doesn't want to lay on the ropes with this guy.
Steve Smoger again, the referee, just watches as they fight out of the clinches. They've been doing this all night long. The only time Steve is really in between them is quite obviously the end of each round. Digging left hook you saw by McAuley again. Blanco got a left hand in of his own.
Yeah, Davey's standing straight up now. You can see that the fatigue wearing him down a little bit. Blanco's still in that crouch where he wants to be, down underneath in that defensive posture.
He's never really, Bob, gotten that rhythm we thought we would expect here tonight. McAuley has been a tough customer for Blanco to figure out, I think.
Yeah, and there's Davey turning him around.
Blanco digging shots.
Even though McAuley's fighting well off the ropes here, this isn't where he wants to be. And you can see the rounds that Davey McAuley's won in this fight have been fought in the middle of the ring, and the ones that Blanco has won have been fought on the ropes.
This is round 11 of a scheduled 12-rounder of the champion. Davey McAuley out of Northern Ireland in the green.
Davey's subject to have a point taken away from him. He's doing an awful lot of intentional holding here on the inside, and Smoger's already warned him for it.
Well, I tell you what, he's trying to use that left hand as well as he can to keep Blanco on top of him.
Blanco's doing a lot of good work underneath, working even with just the free hand inside.
Boy, you start to see underneath that right eye now, McAuley. That's going to be very interesting between rounds because it's really swelling now.
And he got hurt with the right hand there, and he's holding on.
Blanco desperately trying to fight out of the clinches to get some more punches in to end the round. And Steve Smoger has ended another round in a waltz with the two fighters here as round 11 has come to a close. And we will go to the final round of this world title fight tonight in Spain. And look at that eye as it starts to swell. They're working on the left eye to hope it does not swell closed. But the right eye is slowly closing for the champion while Rodolfo Blanco across the way. Look at the eye there. Wow. Now on top of it, the eyelid is even starting to swell. It is basically too late in this fight for that kind of a cut unless something very drastic should happen there to stop the fight. Again, Steve Smoger, the referee, the only man that can stop it. Well, let's see how the scoreboard goes with Bob Spagnola.
Well, I definitely gave that round to the challenger, and it seems like he's really getting to have his way with McAuley here. Davey boxed as well as he could for as long as he could, and seems like he's going right now in the beginning of the round. He's immediately gone back to the ropes, and he's holding here, Sam. I think he knows that his fight's about over with. He's going to survive this fight and hope that the judges have seen it his way. Blanco, on the other hand, is pressuring him. He knows he's got to make something happen here, and he seems the fresher of the two fighters by far at this point.
Can Blanco win this last round? Is it enough if he puts that much of an impression on the referees? Obviously, the scorecards have already handed in from the other rounds. Those are gone now. But an impression of the 12th round, he must win this round if he hopes to even have a chance at all.
He certainly seems to think that himself right now, with his work rate is any indication.
Buzzsaw Boxing here tonight from Spain. McAuley, the champion, the challenger Blanco, the final 3 minutes of their title fight.
David McAuley, he's so brave. He's in here trying to fight this fighter with it. Blanco's complaining about the holding, and rightly so.
You know, Bob, you made mention 32 years of age for Blanco, 30 years of age for McAuley. Does a big loss here tonight affect their careers down the road as far as that age is concerned?
Well, at some point in time, you know, you can't go on forever. And as I said earlier in the show, you know, at this weight, you know, these guys are already a couple of years past their prime, supposedly. So Blanco roughhousing on the inside, and Davies still trying to box behind that jab.
Baby Jake Malata from South Africa went down in 10 in a TKO win by McAuley in his last fight. That was in September of '91, and again, it was Augustine Garza was a 10-round loser to the challenger Blanco in their last fights, but that too came back in '91. So both of these fighters have had long layoffs, but it has not shown tonight as they have fought gamely on into the 12th round.
They sure are fighting here, both guys.
Is Blanco doing enough to win the round, Bob?
Oh, I think he is. He's been the aggressor, and you know, Davies, I think, really trying to be in a safety first mode right here, knowing that he's done his better fighting earlier in the fight and let it go to the scorecards. You can't win every single round, although there's a good shot there. It seems like he staggered Blanco.
And he does again with the left hand. So McAuley, who looked like a man that put his money in the bank and hopes the interest rate goes up, now wants to make another deposit or two before this fight is over. Again, keep in mind the three judges, it now appears, will get the scorecards, and it'll be in their hands. 2 from the U.S., 1 from Spain. Steve Smoger, the referee, has done an outstanding job in this fight tonight. Will not help score. And there's the bell to end tonight's fight. So as McAuley Camp has him high in his shoulders across the way, they are hugging and congratulating as well Blanco, and now the judges will be the ones to decide if McAuley retains his championship or does Blanco, despite that 9-round 1-point deduction, does he do enough to steal the fight here tonight? And that will be the big question answered here in Bilbao, Spain tonight. Well, listen to the crowd. They really enjoyed this one tonight, Bob. They're on their feet watching these two fine fighters. As now sportsmanship, they congratulate each other, and you see the exchange to the bitter end. Good left hand that time by the challenger Blanco. McAuley again looked like he was just kind of coasting along there until near the end of the 12th round, as Blanco appeared to be in control. And then all of a sudden, McAuley picked up some steam, throwing some combinations, getting some punching room. Blanco tried to stay right on top of him, but they headed towards the center of the ring. And a good look at McAuley. And again, that swelling right eye gave him some problems, particularly in the 11th and 12th round when it really started to swell and close. You not get a good look at it as of yet. It's on the other side as he waves to the crowd here in Spain. And a pretty good group acknowledging his effort tonight, Bob.
Yeah, brilliant fight. I've got McAuley winning the fight by one One round, Sam, and the 1 point being the point that was deducted.
Wow.
In the 9th round for low blows by the challenger. So you know, these rounds were very close. This fight could go either way, but I've got the champion keeping the fight on a split decision. I mean, on a very close decision.
So what has turned out to be, I think, a better rematch. We made mention at the top of the show that many times the rematches don't add up to be exactly what we'd hoped they might be after that brutal battle in 1990 in Belfast between these two. McAuley winning in a controversial decision there, and now you get a good look at that eye as McAuley really swollen shut on the right side. But this rematch has been everything we expected, and we hope you enjoyed it tonight as well as we wait for the decision. You can see how anxious the crowd is, Bob. They're still on their feet waiting the announcement here. It will be coming in Spanish, and we'll try to interpret that as well as we can for you.
Yeah, you like a good fight. Oh, yeah.
And certainly the champion, Dave McAuley, hopes to defend his title as he waits for the moment of the decision. And Bob, it's got to be a very anxious moment waiting for that decision as they take a long time here. And in particular, certainly McAuley's camp does not speak that much Spanish. So once it's decided, they kind of look at each other and say, is that good for us or not?
Yeah, that's a scary feeling. It's like the last thing you hear that can understand is your own country's national anthem. And after that, have to wait till the hand gets raised. But both fighters gave a real good account of themselves. They fought hard. They had respect for each other going in, and I'm sure absolutely they do coming out afterwards. The corners, the managers, the trainers involved, there's a ton of anxiety right now because they're just wondering, did we do everything right? It's hard to watch a fight very objectively when you're involved with one of the fighters. You know, every time he gets hit, you don't see it.
This is a very close fight on our unofficial card. You've got McAuley winning by a point, and keep in mind a 1-point deduction for a low blow after 3 warnings, and that was given to Blanco back in the 9th round, and that was the only thing that separated a draw on your card.
Yeah, that's right, Sam. As you look at the eye of McAuley, that they've stopped working on it. It will blow up, and tomorrow morning it'll be a sight to behold. But I just heard McAuley say to one of his advisors, Robert Middleman, I won the fight. And you know, right now we're going to find out if he's right.
So you heard how close Joe Garcia's 115-114.
It's a 1-point fight.
114-113, another score. Here's the decision. And it's an upset here.
Blanco.
Blanco has dethroned the world champion Dave McAuley, the IBF Flyweight champion, and you're looking at the new man here in Spain tonight. 32-year-old Rodolfo Blanco has joined a long list of outstanding champions out of his home city of Santa Onofre, Colombia, just outside of Barranquilla.
And the look of disbelief on the champion's face. But
oh, my.
He knew it was a very close fight. The fact that he can't see out of one of his eyes is evidence to that. But he knows that he fought his heart out, and I'm sure he felt like he deserved this decision. I felt that he deserved it.
Now, Blanco, keep in mind, his camp very much thought that they had won the decision in Belfast. It went to McAuley. McAuley winning on that night despite being down 4 times in the fight. Here tonight, neither fighter was down, even though there was a slip by Blanco, you may recall, early in the fight. But tonight it was Rodolfo Blanco as he comes out, and Bob, it was a night that we've seen again the challenger come up with a victory in this fight. So on behalf of Cedric Kushner Production and Mnet Super Sports, this is Sam Smith speaking for Bob Spagnola. We hope you've enjoyed it tonight as Rodolfo Blanco is the new IBF Flyweight champion here in Spain. Till next time, thank you and good night, everybody.
So I told you.